Hello there. Welcome to another talk, another meditation. All my talks are meditations. A podcast. And today's talk is kind of like a metaphor for presence. Presence awareness, mindfulness. And today's talk is called Imagine That You Are in a Painting. Now, this actually was like an information download that I got last week. And the download came in and it just said, imagine that you are in a painting. And what would that be like? Well, if you were in a painting, you would, because if anyone's looking at art, they're being present in that moment. They're wanting to enjoy the art or whatever they're looking at or experiencing. So if you're imagine that you're in a painting, what are you doing? You're going to observe the beauty. You're part of that beauty, you see. All of a sudden, you're not going to be over here. You're going to be you're not going to be over there. You're going to be over here. And because you're not in this anxious state anymore, because you're present like this, you start to notice the way your feelings changing. Everything's changing. Your whole mind and the way you're taking in reality is changing in a positive way. Right? It's more peaceful. It's more calm. There's a euphoria there. Right? There's like an ecstasy thing there. There's a euphoria there. And really, the reason that is because tantric awareness, if you don't know what that is, do your research on it, and basically that is the present moment. You see, it began for me from an unexpected spiritual awakening at the age of 24, 10 years ago. But basically this pathway that I've been on, I'm still going through it because it's a totally different thing you're doing. Remember, before my awakening, you have all this anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts. And so it's a total different way of being. See, we are basically programmed to be in panic mode all the time. I mean, I haven't had a day of depression, what I consider depression to be, since I was 28. Right? It just faded away to nothing. Proper depression to me is when it all just gets too much and you're like a zombie now. You can't think. It's just like you shut down. The whole system is just like a computer crashing. And depression, from what I remember, you could be like that for days. You see. And this awakening is total. And I'm 34 now, so that 28 was the last time I had depression, and it faded away to nothing then. But still, I get moments where I'm anxious. The anxiety at the level I had it is not there, but I still have things that I'm healing from. So I'm not some super ascended person. I've healed a lot of issues, but there's still a lot more to go. That's why I laugh when I hear people say, "Oh, I done a course and a few years ago, and I'm all healed now," and they've just been on the path for about 2 years. They're lying. Because in this field, in this thing, you get two types of people. You get those that have done courses, and you get those that have had spiritual awakenings. You see, and they're not the same. If you've had an awakening, you're not going to need a course, because it's all actually within you anyway. And that's the problem with the New Age community. It's basically like the world is now. You got the sheeple, and you got the people that are going through awakenings, spiritual awakenings, and it's split in two. Same with the New Age community. But yeah, what I was saying, earlier about, imagine that you're in a painting, and when you do that, you're automatically present because you're admiring the art. You see. But like I say, this is a total the spiritual awakening took me in a completely different path. But I was that path for 24 years. And if people believe in past lives, you could even have past lives of problems and stuff. So that's why it's such a long path. I also believe that in spiritual awakening, you're healing the collective shadow within yourself. I mean, I can't tell you anything about astrology apart from Libra, But I do tarot readings. I don't do personal reading, but I put them on my website. It's on my homepage. But I just do collective ones because that's how I see myself. I don't see myself as a separate person. I see myself as the collective consciousness. And that's why we're all narcissists, because if someone else is a narcissist, we're a collective. It's a bit like if you're in America, soccer. In Britain, we call it football, and it's only when they're a team do they win. So we've got to understand that we're a collective. And then naturally things will start to get better. Instead of externalizing, demonizing others, or making a YouTube video about a boyfriend that you're in love with and you're calling him a narcissist, and he hurt you. See yourself as oneness. So if you're oneness with all, ask yourself, instead of demonizing that person, what is the issue? What needs to be corrected within ourselves? You see? Because really, yeah, it is really a painting if like that Louis Armstrong song, it's a wonderful world, but if you look at it as a painting, it just came to me last week, this download, and when you do that, you're automatically present. But not just being present. Some people say, oh, I'm here, but they're not really here. Really here means you're totally here. You're not just saying, I'm here. And you're letting this, I don't know, you can call it, a dimension or something. And you're letting that steer you see. You're letting that show you something. That's God right there. God, to me, is a force within absolute silence or nothing, non-existence. And it's this miracle power that makes life possible. And when you're absolutely present, you're tapping into that force. That's why, I'm not a religious follower, but apparently Jesus Christ done talks. And they said to him, where is God? And he said, within yourself. But still, people externalize even that. Jesus coming to save us, well, he didn't. He said go within. You're not doing what he said. So when he said follow me, he meant follow his pathway. You see? And it's the same thing, I'm talking about here. But back to what I'm talking about. Imagine that you're a painting now. If you start practicing that, I have since I was downloaded it. Do it anytime you want, when you get a moment. And yeah, you'll notice as soon as you do that. For example, you've got having sex versus making love. And the making love would be metaphor for what I'm talking about. Presence, awareness, and then everything's more euphoric all of a sudden. It's just a quick fix, it's not as good. And that is tantric, what people call tantric awareness. It is presence. Presence is the holy vortex that is God. It's so difficult though to get ourselves out of that mindset because we're programmed to be the other way. See, the system, what it does, it wants you to think, feel, and perceive everything a certain way. But the awakening now cannot be stopped because God, the one infinite creator, created everything just as it is. You see? So even the bad guys are part of that script, a part of that movie. You see? And you go deeper, you are that one infinite creator because it's all one infinity. You can only ever have one infinity. Like what Deepak Chopra says, oneness means one nothing. And you can only, like I say, you can only have one nothing. Even, there might be people who are bad people or you think they're bad. But every time I catch myself doing that, I remind myself, my perception is my reflection. That's my own saying. Your perception is your reflection. And as you heal these unconscious issues, I've heard Eckhart Tolle say, merging with presence. And so, going back to that, imagine that you're a painting, so start practicing that. This only came to me last week. See, what happened to me, as I mentioned, my awakening. But ever since then, I get information downloaded, which is thoughts, thought forms. And a lot of time I'm not thinking of anything. You see? Some might say it's spirit, higher consciousness, higher powers, whatever. Holy Spirit. But that one that I got last week about, imagine that you're in a painting, that's a good one. I think it's a good one because I've been practicing it. It's not me, I'm trying to be big-headed or anything, and pat myself in the back, which nothing wrong with that, but I've practiced it myself. You see? And so, when you get a moment, practice that. Imagine that this is a painting. What are you doing all of a sudden? You're not paying attention to what you're anxious about all of a sudden. You see? You're like, you're entering into a different vibration when you're doing that. You're more appreciative of whatever you're experiencing. Like I said earlier, that's another metaphor for it. Making love versus having sex. It's the making love would be a metaphor for what I'm talking about here, about presence, the holy vortex. And to imagine that you're in a painting, that's a good way of doing it. Well, because all of a sudden, your mindset's changing. The way you feel is changing. You're entering into tantric awareness. People talk about Kundalini energy. That's what it is. It's within the present moment. Like when Eckhart Tolle says about the aliveness within the present moment, that's what it is. That's what he's talking about, tantric awareness. Like twin flames don't have sex. They're going to make love. It's going to be this tantric thing I'm talking about. The source of where all life comes from. If you go on the internet, there's actually pictures of orgasmic energies in space mating with each other. You can look that up. But I'm just going to leave it there. Just thought I would throw that one in there. For latest updates, songs, tarot readings, and much, much more, please do check my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you.